what is the task which administrator does? So when we go 10 years back, okay, or maybe 5 years also you can say. So administrators, they used to maintain or manage these servers. That is the first role. Second, they used to deploy the code on these servers. Now, when we say Outlook.com is running on 80,000 servers, so when software developer, they create Outlook.com or they make changes in Outlook.com, who are responsible to go and deploy the Outlook.com in 80,000? There are 80,000 servers. Who will go one by one and deploy application on 80,000 servers? So administrators were responsible to deploy. They used to take the code from software developers and they used to go one by one on different 80,000 servers and used to deploy the code. So let's say that you are having like Outlook.com is a mailing software. It is used to send emails. And you are trying to add another feature of calendar that you can, there's a calendar in Outlook.com, and software developers have added a new feature that is calendar. Okay. Now, this is a new feature which they have created, but who will be responsible to deploy this new feature in all the servers, all the 80,000 servers? So administrators were responsible. They used to go and deploy one by one on each and every server, so that whenever any customer, any user uses the application, they can see calendar as a new feature. So primary role for administrator are roles are that they manage the servers, they manage the health of the servers, that all the servers are up and running. And second, they used to deploy the application one by one. Okay. Now you can imagine that it's a very big problem to deploy an application one by one on 80,000 servers. Okay. Now, so it means software developers are responsible to write the code and administrators are responsible to manage, maintain the servers and see if the server health is good or not, whether servers are up and running or not, whether there is a damage or not. And if the servers are running good, they will go and deploy the new code, which is handed over by software developers. So they will go one by one and deploy the code on 80,000 servers. Okay. So what happened? Now, now hiring, because Outlook.com is a product of Microsoft. Okay. Microsoft is rich. They are making good amount of money from last 20 years. So they don't have any problem in hiring maybe 20,000 employees. They can hire and they can fire. Okay, it's not a problem for them. They can hire it. Amazon is rich. They have money. So they can also hire many people, and those people will be administrators and they will be deploying one by one on every server. But what about if there is a medium size organization or a small size organization? If they have to hire people and they might not feel it affordable, it will be a problem for them. Okay, to hire these many people to deploy application. At that point of time, it's a big problem for small organization and as well as medium-sized organization. And also it's a problem that going manually one by one on each server and deploy the application. It's a very big problem because it's not easy. It's not easy to go and deploy. And what if the deployment doesn't successful over here? Then again, they will redeploy. Is it easy to visit 80,000 servers and redeploy the application? It's a very big challenge for many different organizations. You know how that gets solved? That gets solved with the help of automation. So over here, the industry, the IT industry was actually struggling. If we talk 10 years back, IT industry was actually struggling with this problem that who will go and deploy the code on 80,000 servers? If every now and then software developer then release a new feature, like they will let's say on Instagram first, they used to let the people upload their photos. Later they released a messenger. Later they released the reels feature. Then they released stories. I mean, every now and then an application is releasing new feature, and you find out like let's say if you look at your WhatsApp, so when WhatsApp was released, it was just a messaging application. But now you can make calls. Then you can, after some time, you started making video calls. After some time, you started making payments. After some time, you started sending stickers on WhatsApp. So what are they doing? They're releasing new features every now and then. And will it be easy for us to go and deploy the code as an administrator? They will go and deploy the code on 80,000 servers or maybe 100,000 servers or 200,000 servers. Will it be an easy job? No, it will not be. It's a very big concern for any IT organization. And what do we need? So the need of the hour is the automation. Automation engineers are also known as DevOps engineer. What is the purpose of DevOps engineer? DevOps engineer has a purpose of automating the task. They have to automate everything. They're responsible to automate everything. Okay. Now, this was one scenario that what was the need of our that deploying the application on multiple server was a problem. And that's why we needed some solution, and that solution is automation. Okay. So what we understand over here right now is that we need automation. Okay, we need the automation for deployment of new code. Okay, deployment of new code. So this is something which we figured out is very important. So automation for deployment is very important. That's why we need DevOps engineer. Now, second requirement, which I'm going to discuss, and I hope that will make sense. Okay, and I think that will make sense because that's very important for our sessions. Now, when we say that there are 80,000 servers which are involved for Outlook.com, or maybe 100,000 servers which are involved for Netflix.com. Okay. When we have a very big IT infrastructure, what is the meaning of IT infrastructure? It is assets, hardware, which is like server, load balancer, networking, security. All these are what? These are the IT infrastructure. So when you, okay, so let's imagine that you have a building. In New York, there is a building. Okay, there's a skyscraper in in New York. So in this building, we have like so many floors, and we have windows, we have rooms, we have so many things. So what is this? This is actually an infrastructure. Building is nothing but the infrastructure which has all the elements in it. It has rooms, it has conference room, it has a whole hall, it has windows, it has washrooms, restrooms. Okay, so it's an infrastructure, right? So you call it as building infrastructure because you walk in there and you find it like, okay, there is an interior designing. There's a lot of things which you find in a building. That's the infrastructure. You call it as infrastructure. We say IT infrastructure. You have to understand this, that even IT has infrastructure. Okay. So when we say Netflix application will have its own dedicated IT infrastructure. Outlook application, which is the mailing application, that will have its own IT infrastructure. Okay. WhatsApp will have its own IT infrastructure. So every application has its own IT infrastructure. Now, when I say IT infrastructure, what does that mean? Let's understand what does an IT infrastructure means. So when we say IT infrastructure, guys, it means that we are going to have the servers, a lot of servers. Okay. Just like that in this building, we have a lot of rooms. So we have a lot of servers. Okay. Over here, so let's imagine that this is the Netflix IT infrastructure. Okay. Netflix is using this IT infrastructure. In this building, you have cameras, right, for security purpose. So over here, we have VPC, network area. Okay. Then we have load balancer. We have different IT components, okay, which is helping to run the application on this. Okay. Now when you look at this IT infrastructure to run a simple Netflix application, you have a massive infrastructure that is called as IT infrastructure, which consists of multiple servers, which consist of network, which consists of security, which consists of lot of IT components like router, it will have switch, it will have Wi-Fi, it will have a lot of infrastructure. We have it. Okay. Now, when we say that we have a lot of IT infrastructure over here, okay, and every different application, Outlook has its own IT infrastructure, WhatsApp has its own IT infrastructure. Okay. Now you understand that IT infrastructure is very important to run an application. So if you want to run an application, you need the IT infrastructure involved, and there will be many servers which will be involved. Okay. When you are designing a new IT infrastructure, that this server will connect to this server. Okay. This load balancer will basically connect to these two servers. There will be a proper networking over here. So this is what is configured by whom? This all is configured by the IT solution architect. So our architect is going to design that this server is going to connect with this load balancer is going to connect with this. They basically design this complete IT infrastructure. Okay. And nowadays, what is happening that cloud is very popular. So no organization prefer to buy their own IT infrastructure. They rely on cloud. So cloud actually gives all these servers on rent. So they go and use these servers on rent. So now what happens that let's imagine that let's imagine that I am working as an architect. Okay, when I'm working as an architect, I have given a task that I'm working on a WhatsApp application, and the backend. I have to design the backend infrastructure, IT infrastructure. Okay. So let's imagine, everyone, please imagine me as architect, and WhatsApp has given me a task that you have to design the IT infrastructure for us. Now, what I'm going to do is I will basically keep, let's imagine, 5 servers. Okay. And I'm going to keep like one load balancer. Okay. And I'm going to keep some network layer over here. I'll do a lot of things over here. Do you know that WhatsApp is the application of which organization? Who owns WhatsApp? Facebook, right? So Facebook has Instagram also, right? Now Instagram, so same infrastructure you would like to replicate in the Instagram as well. Okay, the same IT infrastructure you would like to replicate to Instagram as well. Now, will you do again the same job that you will go and design everything one by one? It takes months to design an IT infrastructure. It takes months that you need 2 servers here, you need one load balancer. So it takes a lot of time to design a optimized infrastructure. It takes a lot of months. So to replicate the same thing over here to here and to have the infrastructure ready, will you again spend, let's imagine, if this took 1 year of time to design and have everything in place in real, then to have the same thing for Instagram, will you prefer to spend the same thing again, like 1 year for the same thing? No. and and the same thing you wanted for Facebook also. Let's imagine that you want the same IT infrastructure setup for Facebook also. Again, will you spend another 1 year to do that? No. So it means the replication is the problem. I want a solution where even the replication can be automated. Okay. The infrastructure automation. This is known as infrastructure automation, where we are going to create the exact copy of the infrastructure. Okay, we are going to create the exact copy of the infrastructure by replicating it, but it will not take 1 year of time. It will take few seconds of time, and that can be done by infrastructure automation. Okay, infrastructure automation. Now, that is one thing that you need you need to do replication, and for replication, you don't want to spend number of years. You want to spend only um, few days, and you will replicate. You can replicate maybe 100 times. If there are 100 projects going on in one organization, You don't want to spend like again and again to design the same infrastructure. You will not design and implement it. You will go and provision these resources in cloud. Let's say you want 2 servers from cloud. So you will again go to AWS. You will again create it manually. And to create it manually, it will take time. Why can't we find a solution where if we have designed it once and if we have implemented once, the same copy of the whole infrastructure can be replicated and can be implemented automatically. And that is what the infrastructure automation is. Let's imagine that you are working for a company called Accenture. Okay, Accenture is a service-based organization. So now this Accenture is an IT company. So Microsoft, Google, Apple, all these companies, they come to Accenture and they say, I need the infrastructure for my application. So you design the infrastructure and implement the infrastructure. Okay. Google comes and say, Accenture, I need the infrastructure for my application. Microsoft comes and say, I need the infrastructure for my application. So now Accenture does not need to reinvent the wheel for a new client. They just can use infrastructure automation and they run it. And if they run it, that infrastructure will be created for Microsoft. The same infrastructure can be created for Google. That same infrastructure can be created for Apple. And in future, if there are new clients which are coming in, let's imagine Netflix is also coming in and asking Accenture to create an infrastructure. So Accenture will basically run this infrastructure automation, and automatically what will happen? The complete infrastructure will be designed and implemented. Now we understood two things. So far, we understood two things. Okay, one is that deployment. So remember, we studied the deployment part, that if there are 80,000 servers and there's a new release of a software, how will you deploy on all the 80,000 servers manually? It will take longer time. So you want to do the automation for deployment. And second, you want to deal with the infrastructure. When there is an infrastructure and you would like to design a new infrastructure and you want to implement a new infrastructure, so you want to do something related to infrastructure, okay, where everything can be automated. In both the case, if you notice, there is one thing which is common: the automation. You want to automate deployment part and you want to automate infrastructure part, isn't it, everyone?
Yeah.
This is the primary role of DevOps. Okay, your complete DevOps engineering revolves around this role. So for deployment automation, you will use Jenkins. Okay, and for infrastructure automation, you will use Terraform. And so right now, what we are going to do, we are going to learn Terraform. We are in the sessions of Terraform right now. So we are going to understand how this infrastructure automation can be done. Okay, the entire series of Terraform revolves around infrastructure automation. Okay, and both the skills need to be possessed by a DevOps engineer. So when you are trying to get a job as DevOps engineer or cloud engineer, you need to possess these skills, because if you don't know how to use Terraform, like if you don't know how to drive a car, you cannot work for Uber, right? If you do not know how to, uh, cook food, or have like cook food, then you cannot be hired as chef in the restaurant, right? Just like that, for a DevOps engineer, if you know how to do infrastructure automation with the help of Terraform, you can work as DevOps engineer. If you know how to do deployment automation, you can work as Jenkins. You can work in DevOps engineer. So basically what happens on a broader term, if I tell you what DevOps consists of. So first of all, if I tell you, DevOps is a modern name for automation. Okay, so in like in if I remember, like 5 years or 6 years ago, when DevOps was not so popular, okay, at that time we used to call it as automation engineer. I worked as automation engineers in multiple organizations, but now they have actually modernized this term of automation engineer into DevOps engineer. Okay, so Now this DevOps engineer consists of multiple skills which need to be there within you. So one thing is the Linux. Okay. Second is the Jenkins. This is what we discussed. If you want to do deployment automation, then you need to know Jenkins. Okay. Then for infrastructure automation, you need Terraform. Okay. For microservices, you need Kubernetes. And for there's something called as software configuration automation. For that, you need Ansible. Okay. So if you know this stack like Linux, Jenkins, Terraform, Kubernetes, and Ansible, then you will be the senior DevOps engineer. But in my opinion, just do not rush to know everything. Go in depth. That's more important. If you possess these three skills, that's okay. Industry will still respect you. Industry will still welcome you. Okay. If you try to learn everything in one shot, you will not be able to learn anything. Okay. So that's why what we have done at Thinkcloudly, we have actually divided the whole DevOps into two parts. Linux, Jenkins, and Terraform we cover in a basics DevOps, and Kubernetes and Ansible we keep it in advanced DevOps. Why do we do it? Because some people they come to us and they say, no, I need Kubernetes, I need Terraform. Okay, they ask for these two. But when we look at the market, it doesn't make sense to us. We always look at the market from a job opportunity perspective. So if you know Linux, Jenkins, and Terraform, that's enough. I mean, to start with, that's enough. If you have enough time to spend with, you can go for Kubernetes and Ansible. So it requires time, efforts, and money, right? So, but when anyone is starting very first in DevOps, we always recommend to go with our basic program, that is Linux, Jenkins, and Terraform. I'm not advertising anything. I'm just telling you that why we have created this segment, because we now, if you know Linux, Jenkins, and Terraform, you become DevOps engineer already. If you know Kubernetes and Ansible, you become senior DevOps engineer automatically. So that's how it is. Okay. One thing which I want to tell you, one thing which I want to tell every one of you is that uh, in your laptop, okay, for to learn Terraform, definitely we will again pay attention like how Terraform works. We need two very important things. Okay, we need two very important things in your laptop. So you need a Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code. This is a software which you need to download in your laptop. Okay, I will show you how to download it so that you guys can, when you guys go home, you guys can download in your laptop. And second, you guys have to download the Terraform itself. Okay, and this is the part of our Terraform setup. So I recommend everyone, don't walk ahead of session. Don't go on YouTube and watch how to set up Terraform. Don't do it. It will be too confusing for all of you. I will be helping you to set up everything. I'll show you the steps one by one to set up everything. So don't rush and set up everything. It won't help at all. It will be too confusing for you. I'll make it a bit easier for you. Okay. So we need for Terraform, we need these two things. And also, yes, one more thing, because we will be doing the complete infrastructure automation on AWS, Amazon Web Services. Okay. So we need the Amazon Web Services account. Okay. We need the Amazon Web Services account. I hope everyone has the Amazon Web Services account already. If you do not have, you guys can create the Amazon Web Services account. I will let you know how to create it. So you guys can create it. Only thing which you can also take it, that is we also offer AWS Sandbox. If you guys want to sign up for AWS Sandbox, you can take our Sandbox account. So what is the difference between AWS Sandbox and your own AWS account? So see, it's free to create AWS account. You can go to AWS website and create the free account yourself, or you can sign up with us. It will cost you $20 per month, and this will cost you nothing. Then you would be wondering that what is a need of having Sandbox? So the need of having Sandbox is in AWS account, in your own account, if in case you keep some resources turned on for a very long time, okay, let's say you created 5 servers and you forgot to turn it off. So in a week, you will be charged more than $200 or $300 unnecessarily. But in Sandbox, you don't need to worry about any accidental charges. You pay $20 every month and you can use unlimitedly. Okay. So we give this sandbox in $20 per month, and you can use it unlimitedly. But in your AWS account, which is free of cost, that comes with a risk that you might get charged accidentally. So we will be needing three important things in our laptop: Visual Studio Code, Terraform, and AWS account. I'm going to show you how to download Visual Studio Code today, and I will also show you how to create your AWS free account.
Thank you for watching. Switch from non-IT to IT today. Explore www.thinkcloudly.com.